Yeah!
What is up, everybody, and welcome back to M3 Wrestling. I am Brandon, and alongside me always is Andrew.
What's going on?
And today, we have got a good episode for you. We're a little behind on the pay-per-view thoughts and review. That's okay, because we're going to be covering some news, more recent news, that I think is worth talking about right after. So we're going to do the pay-per-view first instead of at the end like we normally do. But, yeah, so it's been a few weeks, and we are finally back together and ready to get this thing going.
Talk some Payback.
Yeah, talk a little Payback 2023.
And I just want to say, before we get into this, me and Brandon had a little match with predictions for Payback, and I'd like for all of you to see what side of the table the belt's on.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
Brandon kind of tripped himself up there.
Yeah, I got a little cocky. That's a good looking belt, though, man.
It's a great looking
belt.
It's
my first one, man. First replica belt.
Yeah, you want a shot at it? I'll see you at Fastlane.
Yeah. I'll just probably swoop in during a match and steal it back. Yeah, no, I think we're gonna find ways to. We're gonna dub this. It's the old WWF Big Eagle. We're going to dub this the M3 Championship, though, for now. And, yeah, so I think we're going to find ways to defend this back and forth on the channel. But for now, we're doing predictions, pay-per-view predictions. And who gets whoever wins the predictions is the champion for now. And we'll figure out some other way to do it in the future. But it's a good-looking belt. Right now, I lost it. I got a little too cocky. Andrew's the new M3 champion. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Hey, rent was due. You had to pay up.
In myself. I was just... we had a pretty close...
We did.
We had it pretty close. We pretty much went down the board. I was on live stream, I think, when I did that. But we went down the board, and we were the same. But I had to throw in that cash in.
Yeah.
I was like, Damian Priest's going to cash in. This is his moment. This is what's going to happen. We got to shake things up.
I'm like, no, that's not going to happen.
No, he didn't. He wasn't brave enough to say anything. So, it was my own stupidity. I lost the championship because of my own stupidity. He didn't really beat me. I beat myself. All right. Anyway, yeah, we're going to do WWE Payback 2023 from September 2nd. So yeah, it's been
almost 3 weeks.
It's been almost 3 weeks. That's okay. Like I said, we're busy people. We're out here carrying championships around and shit, working.
The whole neighborhood looks at us funny.
Yeah. Well, they're just jealous. Jealous of all that machismo and gold.
Absolutely.
That's what it is. So yeah, we're going to do it in reverse. We're going to do some news afterwards instead of, we're going to start off with the Becky Lynch match. By the way, this was from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where this premium live event took place.
I hate it.
I hate that.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't even care if it's not a pay-per-view anymore. Just call it pay-per-view.
Right.
Like, fuck. Anyway, 14,584 in attendance, supposedly. We'll talk about attendance later for both companies. But yeah, I do believe that more than some of the record-setting ones that we're going to talk about after a while. Yeah, first match up though, Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus in a cage match.
Match of the night.
And it was the match of the night. 20 minute even cage match.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. I liked it. I thought it was great, hard hitting. Did you see the goose egg?
Yes.
On Trish Stratus's forehead?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bruises all over their arms. Like both of them took a beating.
Yeah.
Trish looked roughed up.
Yeah. I'm assuming that was from whenever she was taking all the headers into the cage there.
I'd say so.
But yeah, I loved it. It was physical. The ending of the match, I wasn't. I know they're trying to push Zoe Stark, but
yeah,
I wasn't.
Yeah, her pulling some heel shit, Becky overcoming. I don't know. It wasn't the greatest finish. Overall, though, that match was solid, man. I appreciate both of them so much for taking those bumps. I think what bothers me about Becky now is I think she's getting smaller. Every time I see her, she's getting smaller and smaller.
Like muscle mass wise?
Yes, like she just skin and bones, man. It's like Trish looks better.
Yeah.
and which is crazy because she's, like
close to 50.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it still looks amazing. And I appreciate her attire choices still to this day. Trish looks amazing. She, even bruised up, she looked amazing. I appreciate both of these women and what they did. This is a solid match. I gave it 3.5 stars.
Yeah.
Just because it was so physical, and it was actually a decent little cage match that was physical.
Yeah.
And, was none of those pussyfoot and Hell in a Cell matches, types that they have now where they don't do anything but throw some weapons in there. But this was actually using their head against the cage. This was fighting. This was fighting hard.
Hanging upside down from the top.
Hanging upside down from the top. Oh my God. Those were like, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe she's doing this.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is so impressive.
I enjoyed it. There's only one spot. I wanted to give this a 4, but there's one spot in the match, and I pointed it out to my wife, and she's like, oh no, that was just Becky firing up. No, at one point, she audibly told Trish to hit her.
Yeah.
For the back and forth.
Yeah.
And
sometimes they're not very good at hiding that shit.
Low key.
Yeah. Well, and you got to be careful now with both boom mics, man. Technology's so good.
Yeah.
The picture is so clear now. 4K, whatever. Like, you've got to be careful about the you got to be hiding your mouth. I don't know. You just got to be careful.
You got to have your hair down in your face.
You got something.
Yeah. I'm going 3 3/4 for this one.
That's good. That's respectful too. Yeah. Definitely the match of the night. Which is crazy because there's some decent people on this card, which I thought was in a lot of ways better than SummerSlam. I think the whole show was. A little bit better than SummerSlam overall, I think. But anyway, Zoe Stark turns on Trish at the end because Trish, did some heel shit to her and was bullying her around for not winning, and she shoved her, and then that was it.
Yeah.
Next up, LA Knight versus The Miz with Cena as a ref.
Right. Yeah, that was
wow.
And I love The Miz, all the crap he's given Cena during this thing.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Because wasn't Cena the host of the show, and he was dogging him about being a bad host. And I enjoyed all The Miz's heel stuff. This match, to me, was twice as long as it should have been.
Yeah.
Especially, I know you're trying to put LA Knight over an established guy, but I think, what did this go, 15 plus?
15 minutes and 45 seconds to be exact.
Yeah, I think 8 or 9. You could have told that same story.
Yeah,
and got
agree.
Knight over even more.
Yeah, I think so too. I think, like I said, Miz, I respect Miz now more than I ever have, just because he's stuck it out. He hasn't got hurt. He hasn't hurt anybody. He's such a strong character on the mic. And it's not because I think he's a strong character. I think he's just so good on the mic at selling himself and being that heel. It's almost one of those things, you do it long enough, you eventually gain that respect, and he has for me.
Yeah.
That said, he's also boring in the ring.
Yes, he is.
And
very vanilla.
Very vanilla, and even more so than some. And, the longevity's there, but man, I don't know, there's something else has got it. And he may never step up. He may not need to at this point. He may be fine where he's at.
Yeah.
But I'm also in that camp, though. He should have never been the WWE champion, but he was. Anyway, it was a solid match. It wasn't great, but it was okay. Like you said, it went too long. I gave it a 2-star, or 2.5. I mean, I gave it 2.5. Just decent.
Yeah, 2.5 is fine.
2.5. It's not anything to write home about, but it wasn't bad. LA Knight got the push, or got the win, which he should have. And, he got the little acknowledgement from the endorsement from Cena at the end, which was also good. Not that, I think, to a fan, I think maybe like you who followed him in Impact,
right?
It's not needed. But I kind of get it because they're operating on a whole other plane, and whether you agree with it or not, they do things their way. And I think just getting that Cena rub was good for that audience who didn't watch Impact. Yeah. So it's good it's
like
whatever.
The 80s. It's like it's like the 2010s version of the Hogan rub.
Yeah.
All his buddies.
Pretty much. Yeah. Pretty much. Overall decent. Like I said, way too long. And I can't remember what order that talk show, the Morgan Waller bullshit. I don't care. But Cody shows up and announces Jey Uso's back on Raw.
The crowd bounces.
Crowd goes nuts. Okay. Main event Jay's here. And that's whatever, he's going to get his run and it's going to be decent. I don't think it's going to be a main event thing. I think the main event Jay is a cool name to give yourself, to promote yourself. But it's going to be one of those things and I think he will be in some main event matches.
I see him as a mid-card guy.
But he's a mid, I just do not buy him, and you shouldn't. You shouldn't buy him. He's never been anything but in a tag team.
Yeah.
Why would you, he needs to, it's going to take a lot of time for him to be in that single card picture for me to be like, okay, yeah, he's a single champion.
Yeah, I didn't buy him in the match against Roman. I thought, what is this guy doing here when there's so many more deserving people? But
no, there's a
story to tell.
Yeah, the story was bigger in that moment. That's fine, but yeah, for sure. Anyway, Rey Mysterio. We'll just get that out of the way now. Rey Mysterio was the U.S. champion, and he comes in, faces Austin Theory in an okay match again. This was 9 minutes and 45 seconds.
As it should have been.
As it should have been, just like the last match really should have been. Yeah. And Ray retains.
Yeah, we both got this one wrong.
We did. We both got this wrong. I thought Austin Theory was going to get that title back. They're still refusing to push that dude. And part of me is mad about it, and part of me is not. Because
you gave him the win over Cena at WrestleMania, and then he let him flounder.
Yeah. Well, they have been up and down with this kid for such a long time, and I think he's going to probably get his due eventually, but you got to be really careful about joking him out for a while. Like if he's going to be the cannon fodder heel for, the next 2 or 3 years, it's going to take a lot longer to do this.
Yeah.
And he's young, but it's like, man, he's gaining a little bit mass, and he's getting a little bit better on the mic, and, he's definitely got some natural heel heat. You gotta,
Yeah.
And we'll talk about him again in just a little while.
This is dangerously close, and I'm gonna age myself here. But like in 99, 2000, when you had like Steve Corino in ECW, and he was kind of the jester character, like the guy, the fall guy for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And like The Rock is like Austin was for The Rock here. And the next year they kind of ran out of options and made him the world champion, and people just didn't buy it. Yeah. I mean, very capable in the ring, very capable on the stick, but like if you bury this guy enough times, nobody's gonna buy what he has.
Right, and that's kind of like you throwing just a title on this guy after the year or so he'd had, because they did that Fabergé egg thing, that bullshit with Vince McMahon a couple years ago, Survivor Series, because Vince and his eggs. And then they led up to the match between him and Pat McAfee
at WrestleMania.
WrestleMania, and then Stone Cold got stunned. It was just, it's like you're making this dude a joke, and then he even took even more of a wayside after Triple H took over, and then it's like coming in and throwing a title on him. You're like, I don't care.
Yeah.
You're not giving me reason. Even if he came in and was like just a solid like shit heel and was cheating, that'd be better. But you just made him like a pussy this last year and a half, and now, what do you do? I don't know.
Yeah, you got to build him back up at this point.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, he's got it. I think he's got it. It's going to take some time, but I think he's got it. They just got to do something with him. Ray ended up beating him though here, retained his U.S. title, celebrates with the LWO at the end. Okay match. I gave it 2.25.
Yeah. Yeah. I 2.25 is fine. 2.5. I'll give 2.5.
About the same almost as the last one. Really not that much different. It's okay. Whatever. Just make me care.
Right.
Make me care more. I want to care more, and you're not give me what I want. Judgment Day. Next match. Judgment Day versus KO and Sammy. Also got this one wrong. This is the two we both got wrong, because we both picked the same thing other than that cash in.
Yeah.
We both got wrong on this one. Judgment Day ended up beating KO and Sammy in a street fight. A Pittsburgh street fight, or whatever the hell they called it. For the tag team championships. This was all kinds of gaga and goofiness and crowd fighting and overall fun, but nothing to write home about. I gave it a 1.5 star. I was kind of hard on this one, probably. But it was just dreck. It was just a bunch of stuff that, as a kid, I probably would have loved this. But I'm like, this is just, eh.
Yeah, I'll give it 2. It was what it was, and they got the Judgment Day over even more. And now Damian Priest has to carry all that stuff around airports.
Yeah. Yeah, and don't get me wrong, this Judgment Day, just taking everything was great, which is even more at this time. I was like, oh my God, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
Because if he cashes in, they've got all the titles pretty much, right? And this is great. Yes. Like, it was just all of them having all the gold and couldn't hardly hold it all. That's awesome. That'd be crazy. That would have been something to see. Anyway, it didn't happen. Lame. Anyway, this did go on too long though. 20 minutes and 45 seconds.
And Kevin Owens taking a bump on his tailbone that looked just horrendous.
Yeah.
That guy's...
Yeah, he's...
going to be Mick Foley 2.0.
Well, you worry. I mean, he's still not going to be as bad as what's his name from AEW. What's his old skateboarder?
Oh, Darby Allin.
Darby Allin with Sting, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. He's going to be crippled before he's 35 or whatever. I don't even know what he is now. But he's young. And he's killing himself like an idiot. Balor does become, though, the 24th Grand Slam champion. With those tag title wins.
Yeah, and
okay.
I'm not upset about that because he's a solid worker.
Yeah, dude, I love Balor. He's just a little too small.
Yeah.
Not I guess it doesn't really mean much anymore, but he's I wish they'd do something more with him. I was so pissed. They've screwed him around a lot too. Next up, Rhea Ripley versus Raquel Rodriguez. Now, I gave this a 2-star. Maybe I was a little bit too lenient on this one. I don't know. It was okay. Love Rhea. Raquel, you've said Raquel's probably going to get there.
Yeah.
And she might.
She's not there according to this match.
Right now, she is greener than goose shit, and she's been that way. So I wasn't really looking forward to this, even though she's a giant considered in the weight class of women. She's too smiley. She's not using her size well. She's just, I don't buy her. I don't buy Liv Morgan. Like, right now I'm not liking it.
Yeah.
And right now I'm not digging it. And right now I'm not believing it.
Well, they didn't do her any favors. This match went 17-20.
Yes, 17 minutes and 20
somebody
seconds.
who, like you said, is super green. And, to quote Chris Tucker from The Fifth Element, super green.
Yes, super green.
And, man, you're exposing her at that point. You're overexposing her.
Absolutely.
The match should have been half as long as what it was.
Yeah, absolutely. You're not building her right, and you're putting her in this title match just for her to look like shit.
And if you can't have a good match with Rhea, come on.
Dude. And Rhea is not the be-all, end-all, but she's the hottest thing right now, I think, both physically and in the ring. Love mommy. I love mommy. And I'm all over mommy. And Dom is too, because Dom helped her win.
Yeah.
Which I don't mind that ending because it's the Judgment Day and that's what they do. Yeah. And right now that's okay.
We need more Dom in our lives.
We need more Dom.
I never thought I would say that.
Dirty Dom. Dirty Dom. He has served more time than I have, so I mean, I ain't gonna fuck with him. Yeah. I gave it 2 stars. Like I said, that might be too good.
Yeah,
but I
think I'm going 1 3/4.
Yeah, I can get down with that. That's probably better. Rollins versus Shinsuke Nakamura in the main event for the World Heavyweight Championship. This one went 26 minutes and 5 seconds.
Yeah, 2 workhorses, and I was expecting a lot more out of this than what we got.
Yeah,
I don't know. It was an okay match. I think I was just expecting better things from him.
I know. Yeah. I think Shinsuke's really good. And I think he's been utilized like shit this last year or so, pretty bad. And it comes and goes with him. But he's really good. And we saw a little package at the beginning of this he's just speaking in Japanese or whatever. Like, that all was good.
Yes.
Like, that was what he should have been doing. I love that. Like, I love how they're building this heel Nakamura right now. This is great.
Right.
And this is where this seems like he shines in this, and I'm glad that he's getting this moment. Rollins, I know you love Rollins.
Yes.
And I like Rollins. I think he's really good in the ring. I think I'm getting a little fatigued on him, though. I think there's too much Rollins fatigue for me right now.
I think he loses that belt in the next few months.
Yeah, I think so too. I think the title was pretty much made for him anyway. But yeah, he's one of those guys that I don't think I could really ever hate. And I don't think he's going to get like X-Pac heat with me or something one of these days. I just think, it's not going to go away. It's just going to be like, okay, I don't know why we're still doing this with him right now. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah.
I just don't. He's not changing a lot in the ring, and it seems like he's focusing more on his giggles and his weird outfits to be different. And his ring quality is suffering a little bit. It's not that he's not athletic and he doesn't do his spots. It's just the same shit. And I guess a lot of them do that. It just seems like there's nothing creative about this dude anymore other than his outfits. Does that make sense? I don't. Yeah. That's my personal feeling. I know everybody's not going to feel that way.
I can see it from that. I don't watch the product week to week. I just watch these pay-per-views, and I still get plenty of entertainment from the actual wrestling he does in the ring.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm not going to tire of what he does as easily as somebody who's watching. Is Monday Night Raw still 3 hours at this point?
Oh yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't. I just don't watch it. Like I keep track, but I can't just watch all of it. Yeah. It's too much. Like, it's just too much. I never thought, if the product was so good, this is probably subjective too, but if the product was as good as it was from like 98 to 2002 or 3, let's just say it's just that 4 to 6 year span, somewhere around in that late 90s, early 2000s era, where things were so good with the company and things were still going strong. There's so many good, talented people there, new and old. It's the height of the wrestling business, basically. And I think then, as a kid, and how good it was, I would have clamored for this much content. I would have wanted this much content. Right now, there's too much content. Yeah. And it's because and there's too much content to ingest, and it's not good enough. Like, you're just filling space at this point. Down. It's watered down, and it doesn't mean shit. And, and AEW's trying to get too big too quick. It's just all gaga. And WWE's not quite as bad. And I don't mean to sound like a fanboy there, but it's just too much, man. There's too much shit going on. Too many people. It's just, you can't take care of all that. And
on top of that, and I honestly, I can tell you I don't watch AEW, but I watch Billy Corgan's NWA, and then because it's on YouTube, and then I catch the highlights of Impact,
Yeah.
But there's a lot of content out there right now.
So much wrestling every night. You could catch a wrestling show just about every night, and ain't none of it hardly good. Just like, there's some of it's a little bit by a little bit's decent, and it's like you just basically have to pick and choose what you want to digest that week. And most of the time for me, I just go to the old faithful, and that's WWE, even if it's not good, and maybe that's not the best thing to do, but I don't know. It's just, there's too much. But yeah, things were better. I would have loved this much content as a kid, but yeah, now it's too much.
What would you rate this match?
I just realized I didn't put a star after the.
I'm going 3.
Oh yeah, I'd probably give it 3 3.25. I'd say probably a good hard 3 would be. Yeah, hard 3. Nothing wrong with that, guys.
Yeah. We're not sponsored by Blue Chew or anything.
Yeah. Hymns. Don't worry. You are enough. Don't let her tell you any different. Rollins versus Shinsuke was good. Solid match. I'd give it a 3. That's a solid rating. Of course, Shin attacked him after the match. Get some more heat on him. Rollins won, retained the title. And that was Payback.
Yeah.
An overall decent show, I think. I liked it a little bit more than SummerSlam, I think, overall. There was a little bit more to it than I won't say it's more to it. I think I just liked the card better. Mm-hmm. I think the people on the card was better, which is crazy because I was so shocked. Andrew come up to me at work that day. He's like, wow, I just looked at the Payback lineup. That card. I think I'm pretty excited to watch that.
Yeah, it kind of underwhelmed.
Yeah,
in that regard.
It did. But I never thought I'd hear Andrew say that. Like, oh wow, yeah. He's like, because he wasn't even feeling SummerSlam. He's like, I'll watch it. I guess.
Yeah. I didn't even want to talk about it whenever.
Yeah,
whenever
I made him talk about it.
Roman and his 50-minute match, including his entrance.
Yeah. Well, let's get on to some news before we wrap it up, because that was Payback. Overall, I'd give the show a B. I'll give it a B.
Yeah, I get maybe
B minus.
C plus to a B minus. Yeah, somewhere around there.
We're pretty close on things most of the time. What we're not close on is how we feel about fighting champions. We had our discussion on that at one point.
Yeah.
Which I do, but I do understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. To me, and my point was, to me, Seth Rollins is more of a champion. That belt means more, even though it was just created this year, than Roman's title, which is defended every time, every leap year.
Yeah. Well, and my argument for that was lineage, obviously.
Right.
That was my argument. Like, I think there's too much lineage going into with that belt, and that since no one's beat him yet, because you had this 2 set of titles over here. You had the Universal title on one show, and then you had the WWE Championship on another show, and those were brought together and unified, and so that is the guy. And I do agree, because we made comparisons to Hogan and the NWO in the mid-90s. He basically held the belt hostage. Now, I think storyline-wise it fits because he was trying to take over the organization, him and his group, and him holding that belt hostage and refusing to defend it is just chicken shit heel stuff, and it's showing that, hey, it's my, this is all mine. Yeah,
but it made me tune out of WCW.
Yeah, and I can understand that, but it doesn't bother me as bad. And of course, I'm a few years younger, so it didn't bother me at the time. I understand it even more now, and I kind of make comparisons to that here. The Bloodline wants to run the show. Roman thinks he's run through everybody pretty much, and he thinks in his mind, even if he had help winning, that there's nobody else. So he's just gonna take some time off. There's nobody that could step up and defend it anyway. So he's found out some storyline way to work it into his contract that he doesn't have to defend it all the time.
Yeah.
So I get it. Now, at the same time, it's growing tiresome. I think we need to end it. And now it's looking like it might not be until WrestleMania. I think we need to end it before then. But yeah, I get it. It's growing tiresome, and I definitely agree with that. Going back to Hogan, Hogan had it for a long time, but he defended it way more.
Yeah.
Even though he was going to win no matter what anyway. I don't know. I get both sides. I really do. It just doesn't bother me, but it's still just so hard for me. And I get what you're saying about the workhorse champion meaning more.
Yeah. Like your Flair, you're traveling.
Right. I do get that. But it just, I think because the way they've set it up, and it may be because the way they set this up, the way they set it up, Roman not defending it sucks, but because Roman toppled everybody and took both of the belts they already had and unified them, that is both lineage. That's both championships. That is the lineage and the lineage of the WWE Championship. That is why I think it's important for that belt to be the belt. That's the WWE belt. I do love the World Heavyweight Championship belt, but this is a new World Heavyweight Champion belt. And it did seem like they, in order to appease some fans and keep things rolling on whatever they're planning on doing with this bullshit, they're like, well, let's just give somebody another championship so we can put him on pay-per-view. To me, even though he's fighting every month, it still doesn't mean anything, because in the back of my mind, I know they just created this shit to draw people's attention away from this Roman storyline.
Yeah.
Now, they do need to pick it up and get it done quicker, but that's just all this is. So in the back of my mind, that championship doesn't mean shit.
Yeah.
So like, if you would take this belt off of Roman, hopefully sometime instead of WrestleMania, I would do Survivor Series personally. But But if you take this belt off of Roman here and you start building that champion, and then you take this championship on this show and you keep them separated. If you're going to have two champions, you got to have a roster that doesn't show up on both shows.
Right.
Which they almost immediately always break that rule. Immediately.
Yeah, they need to fix that.
So like 2003 when, they unified the WCW World Title and the WWF Championship into the Undisputed Championship, they rebranded that back to the WWE Championship in 2002 and put it on SmackDown.
Yeah.
Or put it on Raw, whatever it was. I think it was SmackDown. And then, it was on SmackDown because then the World Heavyweight Championship was then brought back.
Yeah,
and just called the World Heavyweight Championship and given to Triple H. But as goofy as that was, within a few months, you had, there was Raw pay-per-views and there were SmackDown pay-per-views. You had Raw show, SmackDown show. No one showed up really on any show for a long time. You had your own thing. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
You have to do it. You have enough people too. You have to do this.
Yeah, you got to keep them separated.
Yeah. Keep them separated.
But no, I like that idea. And to me, my whole thing is with Roman never defending that title, he's made that title not mean anything.
And I can see that.
Yeah. He has devalued that title by holding it and only showing up for the big four, if he even defends them on the big four.
Yeah, I do agree. I do think that he's devaluing it, but I think it's just slower in my opinion than it is in yours. Yeah, I do agree. I think but I still think no matter what, he is still the guy with that lineage, with that championship that needs to be toppled, and they just need to get on with it. Our attention spans, I'm all for long-term storytelling. This has been 3 years. This needed, and I think, and we might as well go ahead and talk about it now because I was going to talk about it anyway. The Rock is back. This last week, the time of this recording, he is back. And apparently there's supposed to be plans that he backed out of where he was coming in to fight Roman at WrestleMania 39. That's what I've been reading.
Yes.
Don't know. This is what we're reading. He backed out. And then, so Cody, I think Cody's what I've read is Cody's a 2-year plan. Was a 2-year plan. With Roman and Rock at 39 and Cody getting his moment at 40. Now, he's reneged on this. And then he's come back in now, and the only reason he's back now is because Hollywood's on strike. So now we're talking, and this is all dirt sheet bullshit anyway, so who knows? But we're talking that this might be a 3-year plan for Cody. So Cody may not even get this shit until 41. So
interesting.
Yeah, that's what I've been reading, and now I have a problem with this. Not that I wouldn't enjoy the plan they laid out. I wouldn't necessarily not enjoy. But I think if you're going to get the people back, you need to give Roman his time off. Because the plan is for Roman to take a considerable amount of time off after all this bullshit. And then, 2024, 25 or whatever it is, he rolls off in the sunset. And then he comes back however long later as a babyface. But he's supposed to topple Rock at WrestleMania 40 now. And this is what we're talking about. We're talking about getting Rock and Roman at 40. I don't know. What I think is you don't do any of that shit with the title. I think you find a way to get Roman off the belts off of Roman at Survivor Series. And
yeah.
No. No. Oh. I think with this, I think we need to use the story that Cody goes to SmackDown and the trade for Jay. This was the deal. Cody has to go to SmackDown. That was the deal to get Jay on Raw. LA Knight finds his way. He wins the Royal Rumble. He beats Rollins or whoever at WrestleMania to become the World Heavyweight Champion. LA Knight at WrestleMania. And then Cody will be defending it against whoever at WrestleMania after he beats Roman at Survivor Series. And The Rock and Roman can still fight at WrestleMania.
See,
and you get this shit over with, and then you move on with life.
We've had this conversation. I like Cody, but I'm not near as big a Cody mark as Brandon is. And
I wouldn't even call myself a Cody mark, but I want him to finish the story.
Right. I have no problem with The Rock and Roman at WrestleMania for the time, especially after, as well as the bloodline thing has been handled, all the story and the prestige and everything with that.
Mm-hmm.
With The
like
Rock.
you want him for the title? You think the title is on the line?
Yeah. Yeah.
But Rock loses and Roman retains, and then Roman has it longer.
Yeah. I don't know. There's good and bad to both, but I think the lead up, the story.
Oh yeah,
the
for
bloodline
sure.
stuff there,
for sure,
would be amazing.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm all for that. Yeah. I just really don't want the title involved.
Yeah.
I think we need to move that shit away somehow. I
don't think it happens though.
I don't think so either. And I mean, like I said, I guess if Cody's down for it, then that's fine. But I feel like can you imagine putting LA Knight in that spot before Cody? I don't know, man. Like I know you might be for it, but I don't know if that's really the right choice. Yeah. I think if you want to move LA Knight in that position on the world heavyweight side of things,
yeah, I'd be fine with that.
That's fine because he would be world champion. But I think the only reason why I think it's so important, again, it's the lineage thing. I think it's so important to get Cody on to that WWE championship because that's the belt. With the WWF lineage, that's the belt that his dad didn't win, that he took off him in the garden, baby. That's what we need to do, and that's the whole point. And I think that's a good story, that's a solid story, and I think it long term or whatever, that is the story that they need to ultimately get back to. And I don't want anything to ruin that, so that's why I'm so hesitant to listen to so many others bullshit. Yeah. And the only thing I'm worried about with time is that everybody else. It's like Cody's moment was at WrestleMania this last year and he didn't get it because Solo cheated to help Roman win. It's not like Cody had him beat. So it's not like he couldn't beat Roman. So I think that gives him that spot there too, but everybody's going to forget that and I'm worried people are going to grow tired of that.
Yeah.
And you're tired on Cody, but you also want him as heel.
Yeah, I do. I think it's much more interesting.
And I love your concept of that you've told me about him being heel, but I want it to be much further down the line because I think right now I think him and LA Knight need to be running babyface champions on their respective shows. Yeah, that's what I think. But anyway,
they just need to switch shows.
They just need to switch shows somehow. Yeah. Well, and that's why I think Cody could use. Well, there's a condition that I was told that I've been waiting to tell you about because of XYZ reason. But in order for me to bring Jay back, I had to do something, and that was come to SmackDown. And that puts him in that position. LA Knight stays on SmackDown just for the time being. He wins the Royal Rumble and says, I'm going after Seth, because maybe they have a mix up at Survivor Series or something. They have a dust up at Survivor Series where it's Raw versus SmackDown, right? And then he pisses them off. Whoever's champion pisses them off, ends up with the title, and that's who he decides to cash in.
I don't think they have the balls to do babyface versus babyface at WrestleMania with LA Knight and Seth Rollins. I think somebody takes that belt.
That's a Night of Champions kind of match or some bullshit. Yeah. That's not that they need to. Yeah, that's crazy. That just hurts both of them.
Yeah,
I think it needs to be heel versus face for both. And then, like I said, they dominate on their respectiveness for a little while. Maybe something happens where Cody slided and then he becomes heel and gets that faction you were talking about off camera. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I think that's down the line. Anyway, any further plans that you think should happen or would happen?
Just along for the ride, man.
Okay, well, all right. So in news, we want to do this Payback thing first because, we have news. And the Rock one's really actually the most recent that I've been reading. Also, another thing that came around the time Payback was happening was All Out or All In at Wembley, and CM Punk getting fired. And depending on who you talk to, I mean, if you're on the internet with a bunch of soy boys, they probably think that CM Punk's a bad man and he gets what he deserves and he's just so mean and he shouldn't be attacking people and he deserves to get fired and he lunged at the boss and Then you got the whole story of Tony Khan being afraid for his life, which was bullshit. I guarantee, release the tape. Release the footage.
Yeah.
Let's release that footage. Let's see what really happened.
There's enough people there. Somebody's got it.
I guarantee it was one of these. And then Tony's like, that's the first time that I've ever felt scared in my entire life. Because he will kick your ass. Nobody else will do it. But either way, I think that was all blown out of proportion. Judging by the way CM Punk acted at Cage Fury the other night, he seemed like he was in better spirits and just ready to be out of that shit show.
He's no longer in daycare.
Yeah. So like, I get it. He's got some heat. Like he's got some attitude problems. Okay. I can even get down with that. I can agree that he's probably got a little bit of a temper, but I have to put myself in his position because all the shit, and this is all hearsay. This is a couple dudes talking about the stuff they hear on the internet. But if I was in that position, knowing what by several accounts is probably mostly true, and that's the Elite are a bunch of pansy bitches, and they're obviously shit starters that hide behind Meltzer and Alvarez.
And their lawyer.
And the lawyer, and the girl, the mega lawyer. Yeah, not a conflict of interest at all. And of course TK, who they buddy up with and let him dress up as them, and he gets to play dress up and be cool, and so he's part of the Elite, man. Because he's a mark for...
He's literally Billionaire Ted from those 96 WWF skits.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. He gets to play wrestling in real life now, but he's not one of us. He's not one of them. And I don't have a lot of respect for Tony. I don't have any respect for the Elite. I don't like the Elite. I don't like anything to do with them. I think they're garbage, and I think that they are a bane on the existence of the company.
Yeah, what could be a good company.
What could be a good company. They're the ones that are holding this down. I'm not saying that Punk's not without his issues.
And he shouldn't have gotten physical. That wasn't the right.
Probably not. But at the same time, I have to put myself in that position of I think if someone has been mouthing me, I think I can take the high road so many times. And then eventually I'm like, okay, this is the last straw. I got to get physical. These guys showed up in my room. I told them, hey, this is where we're ready. If you want to go, let's go. And you showed up.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
That one I understand.
Now, this Jack Perry thing, I think the only thing that is unprofessional, he put him in a chokehold. There's a lot of rumors about him throwing a punch at him or something and sucker punch him. That's probably not true. All I've heard was shove and a face lock.
Yeah.
To control the situation. I'm sure that's probably more true in this situation. But if you got a little slimy weasel like Jack Perry coming up to you and thinking that he can run all over you because his buddies are in charge, I would probably put him in a front face lock too, because like, I'm not going to take shit from a little dude.
Yeah.
The guy is 180 pounds. You're not a man. Like, I'm not going to take shit from you.
If he's that.
And 150 pounds. So, like, I think it's one of those things, like, if you've had so much this shit happen over time, and it's the final straw, and he's already sick of everything anyway, and a week can't go by without drama, and not just on Punk's camp, everybody. There's been talk of backstage altercations and fights and power struggles for months and months, well before Punk even showed up. This was all over the dirt sheets.
Yeah.
Now, of course, maybe you don't have to believe everything, but obviously this company was a shit show beforehand, and it's a shit show after the fact.
Yeah.
During and after. This is not Punk. All Punk did was come in and bring a new fan base. Yeah. All he done was raise some numbers.
Which is now leaving
again. Which is another thing I was talking about, or I was going to talk about, the attendance of these events here in the last couple of weeks. You can blame it on college football. You can blame it on whatever the hell you want to. I don't care. Neckbeards don't watch college football, most of them. They're not showing up. They're selling tickets at nothing, like day of.
Yeah.
You can't sell out an arena even the day of with $10 or $20 tickets.
Yeah, that's
ringside. Like, come on.
Yeah, you've got issues.
These guys aren't staying home to watch college football or going to college football games. These guys could tape that shit if they really wanted to. They're not showing up because they don't want to show up. They're not showing up because it's garbage and they know it. Only like the same 300,000 or 400,000 people are going to watch this shit religiously. And I'm sorry, that's not enough people.
No.
When you talk about Raw in 2000 having 10 million people watching, and you're going to say that 400,000 is good? No. SmackDown and Raw get 2 million every week. And you're sitting over here boasting about 800,000. Now you are a smaller and younger company, but still.
Yeah. Yeah. 400,000, that's impact on pop numbers right there.
Yes. Yes.
Yep.
You're just a very small, minute, blip in the fandom, and you can defend it religiously, but that doesn't mean it's good.
Right.
We gotta talk real. We gotta be realistic here. He brought some of that back, not all of it, some of it, and you just lost it again because you fired his ass. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you what it's. I will tell you it was wrong to fire him.
Yeah.
It should have never got to that point in the first place. If Tony had actually had a set of balls, he would have been controlling this from the beginning and not letting the elite do it. And Punk would have never had to get mad. And he also probably could have contained Punk a little bit.
Yeah.
So
you're the boss. You sign their paychecks. Do your job.
Just do your job. Shut the fuck up. Anyway, also the attendance at Wembley was lower. I saw 81,035 is what they announced it at. Ended up being 72,265 in actual attendance. Whatever. WWE does that shit too. I think they did it at Arlington or Dallas or whatever the hell it was. That WrestleMania, I think they flubbed it by 10 or 20,000.
Getting parking attendants and ticket takers.
Yeah. Anybody, every homeless person on the street that's even around the building. I get it. Sometimes people buy up shit and don't show up. Sometimes people buy stuff up just to make their numbers go up. They wanted to set a record and just, oh boy, how they just happened to beat the record by 1,000.
Yeah.
Wow. How ironic. At Wembley. Okay. Whatever. I don't really care about all that too much, but what I do care about is people treating this like it's not that it's not a big deal for AEW, but you're not doing this back home on a weekly basis. You're not even filling your own arenas up
at 10 or 20 bucks a pop.
At 10 or 20 bucks a pop. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And then, I think Dutch Mantel said something about, go to smaller arenas or something. Was it him? Was it Dutch? Somebody said something, or maybe it might have been Bully Ray. I don't know. Somebody said on their podcast they need to go to smaller venues. That way they can fill the house.
Yeah.
Sound better, look better. I get that. It would, but then you'll just be noticed as another Impact. So it's kind of good and bad, right? It's gonna look a little bit better. It's gonna sound a little bit better, but at the same time, you're still gonna see a house of 8,000-10,000 people, 4,000 or 5,000 people, and eventually, your TNT and your TBS contracts are up, and then you're on Pop or Logo.
That's the point where you have to start making compelling television. Like if you're at that, there was one time in '93 when Raw was running these little bitty horse stable arenas.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, you can come back from that, but you still have to write compelling television, which isn't happening.
But the problem is you're when you're starting a company out, it's a t-shirt company at first, but when you're starting and you're selling out these arenas, and you're getting 8 to 12 or 13,000 people in these arenas for a little while. The fall from grace is what I'm talking. That's not. It's going to be hard to come back. You were already there.
Yeah.
So what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
It's
all internal. It sounds like
it is, and they're going to have to turn around right now, or they will in 2 to 5 years. They will not be here.
Yeah.
They will. Impact is still somehow holding on, but I'm telling you,
it's because I think their overhead's really low. Is the reason why.
Yeah, but they're forking over a shit ton of money with licensed music and nonsense. AEW, Daddy Khan's gonna give it up. He's gonna pull the plug one of these days.
Yeah. Take that credit card.
Yeah, absolutely. 2 more things and we'll wrap it up. First of all, little drama going on between LA Knight and Kevin Nash.
This is the first I'd heard of this.
Yeah, Kevin Nash basically on his podcast a little while back called LA Knight a Stone Cold and Rock cheap ripoff. Basically, he was stealing their shtick, and in a way I see it, but in a way it's probably not very fair. And then LA Knight fires back on SmackDown. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he basically takes a little cheap dig at live on SmackDown against Nash. And then Nash has now responded. And I've got this here. I'm going to pull this up real quick. So let me see if I can find.
And it's funny because, like, when he was doing this shtick on Impact, I originally thought him more of like a Flair kind of homage. But yeah, I can totally see the Rock and Austin thing.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think he's a complete rip off, but he called him an absolute rip off, and then I think he in some way or fashion he said, look at the adjective play on SmackDown, which is what Nash said the first time he showed up on Nitro in '96. But he's issued a response to this. He's like, I had read different things where he took a shot at me, and I said, how is that really taking a shot at me? I said, so what you're basically saying is this guy that basically is a bottom feeder. I mean, the guy, it took him 29 years to get over. So he's going to make mistakes along the way because he wasn't like he had any kind of clear-cut pattern or plans to make it. Besides, he figured The Rock and Steve had been gone. This is quoting, so it's going to sound like garbage. But he said The Rock and Steve Austin had been gone long enough that he wouldn't just do their shit. He would just do their shit. I see where he's up for a new contract. He said, so I called Triple H. I said, what's the deal with this? Because early it said that, negotiations were going great, and all of a sudden it seemed like there was a hitch. Paul told me, he goes, I didn't understand why this kid, and I use that term lightly. I said, what do you mean? He goes, kid. The guy is my age. I said, I don't think he's quite your age. He's pretty damn close. I said, are you more worried about the fact his fan appeal will recede as fast as his hairline is? So this is Nash to Triple H, I guess. It's bad enough, like I said, unless you're just a knob gobbler, there's no way you'd pick those sunglasses as a pair of sunglasses that you would wear. Paul said, we're so far apart because the only way I'll sign this guy is on a nostalgia act. I said, you mean like me, like be on the Legends? He goes, yeah. Well, he's doing their shit. I can't give him the same pay as those guys that are going out there and doing original shit.
But those guys aren't getting over. Yeah, sorry. If I read that, this is the first time I read that sounded probably garbage. But that was also a lot of quote, like, obviously your quote. This was an exact quote from his podcast, so it was just word garbage there, a little bit word gibberish. But he's basically saying that he called Triple H. I don't know. Yeah.
I'm going to take that with a grain of salt, but Kevin Nash has been full of shit for a long time. He did say, I have heard him, say that he was, a bottom feeder, that he was, he's copying The Rock and Austin. Look, I don't know. I do see fans also on the other end coming to, Knight's defense online. A lot of younger fans that don't realize how big Nash was at one time. Who's Nash was never a star. He's just jealous. Like, let's take a back seat here. Let's back up a little bit. Nash, whether you feel good or bad about the guy, Nash was a star, and Nash was over at one point as Diesel.
Yeah,
especially
and the beginning of the NWO.
And the beginning of the NWO. The dude, he might be lazy, but the dude.
I can't stand him.
Yeah, I know you can't, but he is a legend, and he was a star at one time. Now, personal feelings aside, he was. That said, between just the shit that he says on, now that he's older and out of the business, other than his podcast, he's
fighting for relevance now.
He's fighting for relevance in a lot of ways, and he's never had the best opinion on shit anyway. He's always kind of hid behind the clique.
Yeah.
And Shawn Michaels. I will agree with people on that. But
no, I can see, he probably doesn't like LA Knight all that much, and I can see that. And they've probably, the guy, what's his name, Sean Oliver, that he talks to on there, has probably told him to, escalate this and make a deal out of it so he can get in the headlines.
Yeah, maybe so.
I can see that.
Yeah, maybe so.
But, yeah. Whatever, dude. He's not stealing any of his shtick. He's reminiscent of maybe The Rock and Austin, but he's not saying any of their catchphrases.
He has a vest and he says yeah, instead of what.
And I wish they would let him do more than that.
Well, because he I've seen some stuff from Impact Days, and he's pretty clever, and he says some funny stuff. They do need to let him go past just the catchphrase, because even Austin's "what" gets old.
Yeah,
and especially when the fans use it, because it's ridiculous. It was better when Austin just did it. I think you're right. I think they need to turn the reins loose a little bit on him a little bit more and let him just really be him. I think it would probably go over a lot better, and it would be a lot deeper than just
yeah, because he's got a whole dummy thing that he does, and he's not done that. And I saw an interview he did with like Chris Van Vliet, or is his name Van Vliet?
Yeah,
and he's talking about how he doesn't necessarily want to do that. He wants to naturally get over as he goes. So I can respect that too.
Yeah, I can see that. And of course he drops the elbow, but it's not like similar, but not really the same as the people's elbow. I get it.
Five knuckle shuffle.
But you know what? Like, I mean, if you want to yell at somebody, I mean, Seth Rollins does a shitty looking pedigree.
Yeah.
Which is, from Triple H. Kevin Owens is doing the stunner. Stone Cold's okay with that. Everybody's okay with that. Why can't he do an elbow? Why he can't do a flashy elbow? Yeah. I mean, John Cena does a really shitty five knuckle shuffle. It's his, but it's kind of similar too. Yeah. Shitty.
If I brought back the heart punch, everybody'd say that I'm, ripping off Ox Baker.
Yeah, no one knows who that is. That's the biggest problem.
Just me.
Yeah, just you. But but you just because you have a little bit of theatrics, yeah, okay, everybody's ripping off everybody because no one's doing anything original. At least I can say, at least in his defense, that at least he's not slapping his damn leg every 5 seconds, because he's not the Bucks or Usos.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah. Yeah, I think Nash is just probably a little bit out of line. You might be right. He's just probably fighting for relevance at this point. I think this will probably continue just a little bit, or maybe it won't. But it's Nash with his crazy takes, man. He's kind of a goober. One last thing before we wrap this up. This is like a day or so old as of right now. Vince came out and said during this meeting with the CEO of TKO, who I guess announced that his daughter Ashley is going to now be a part of the company. She's signed on for something. I don't remember what her role was.
His daughter has to get into the wrestling business.
Yeah. Oh no way. Haven't seen that before. But Vince basically had said in this meeting that the company had become stagnated prior, which is why he sold it in order to take it to that next level. And so now everybody's in an uproar online because it's just not true. Because ratings, money, financially, the company's never been in a better spot than right now, and it keeps going up all the time. And in fact, the story and the ratings, things were actually on the up and up when he left with that bullshit scandal.
Yeah.
And I don't say bullshit because it wasn't true, but it's just because it's ridiculous. And very Vince McMahon-y. McMahon. But,
genetic jackhammer.
The genetic jackhammer, pal.
Somebody just bring that up in court and you got to win.
Yeah. Fuck, you're free to go. Look at you, you freak. But Triple H took over and brought some of his boys back. William Regal was back. Road Dogg was back. Things were getting better. Morale was high. And now Vince McMahon being back, this merger, people just got laid off. 100 people just got fired. Which is going to happen in a merger because you've got that you can't have two people at one position. So you're going to have to start. It's a merger. But morale right now, from what I've been reading, and like I said, I'm not there. I don't know. This is all speculation on our part because we're fans. But is that it's on an all-time low, or it's getting lower, and so you can't just sit there and feed people that shit, just to make your new boss. Vince McMahon's got a boss now. That's crazy.
Yeah,
and that really put it. I think that's what really drove it home for me. I'm like, this merger it remains to be seen on whether or not this is going to be good or how different it's going to be in the next year or two. But that kind of drove it home for me. I'm like, oh my God, Vince McMahon has a boss. Which means that what the hell is WWE going to look like in a year or two or 3 or 4?
It's exciting to me.
It could be better. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, man, although I want it to change and be better, what's the odds of Triple H and Stephanie? Stephanie's already kind of out, but what's the odds of Triple H being gone and his boys being gone? in a couple years. You know, if they don't like what they see because something's happening, or, you know, who's the next suit that's going to come in here and try to run it like, you know, like Billionaire Ted's.
I think Triple H does a good enough job and has his heart in the right places that
stay.
Yeah, he'll stay.
I hope so. I really do. Cause you know, this got me to think. I was pretty excited at first when it got me to think. I'm like, oh my God, if this doesn't go well, he could be gone, and the WWE in 5, you know, wrestling entirely could be obsolete in the next 10 years.
And it's weird for me to say that, because you think of the Reign of Terror from like 02 to 05.
Right.
And you look at him marrying the boss's daughter, but then you listen to him in those post, like,
press conferences.
Sounds like a cool dude.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I want to see him, you know, continue.
I do too. I don't want anything, you know, because, you know, this is a big power play for Vince McMahon to be like, you're not going to cancel me, pal. I'm going to come in here and show you. And then he just sells the company.
Drawn in pencil mustache.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude. He looks so stupid.
Snidely whiplash.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. His eyes are all slanted now and closed, and he's had Botox or something going on. I think
that stunner Austin gave him a couple manias ago.
Yeah, you think he got even worse. He looks like a goober. You know, I've given too much shit about Mark Marrow and Vince got a beat.
Marrow could work though.
Yeah, Vince can't work anymore. Anyway, yeah, so I think that just about covers all the more recent shit. I don't know, man. I'm glad you're a little more optimistic than me, because I got that second thought. I'm like, oh no, this could be a really different looking company in a couple of years. And while that is the prospect of that could be exciting, it's like, man, what is this going to do for the wrestling business? When you've already got this over here at AEW, can't get off the ground properly because there's too many goobers in the way. But then you can get suits and goobers on the other side in the way over here. And if you get rid of some of these guys who have been in WWE for, you know, decades, who actually love the business, or love the wrestling side of the business, you know, what is this going to look like? So I don't know. Remains to be seen.
Interesting times.
Yeah. But I guess with that, we're going to close it out, man. I think it'll wrap it up the show. I just wanted to talk a little bit of news. We haven't talked any news in a little while. And those were the most interesting dramatic things to come out in the last few days or weeks. And I've already shared my CM Punk thoughts on that live stream, so I didn't want to get into it much deeper here. But we'll see, and we'll see what Survivor Series is in Chicago. There's always a chance.
Yeah.
You know, people are really sure on the internet right now that it's never going to happen. Don't be so sure, because money talks, buddy. It don't matter. They brought Ultimate Warrior back, and you can't. I've seen a lot of people compare him to Ultimate Warrior. You don't know how bad Ultimate Warrior was then.
Yeah.
If you think Punk's is bad.
Didn't CM Punk even have a comic book though? I'm pretty sure he did.
Did he?
Anyway,
he may be more like Warrior than I thought. Yikes. Anyway, all right, we were going to wrap this up, and we'll see. I don't know what we've got on the slate for next time. I think we're still talking Hog Wild real soon. Maybe that's probably next. So we'll let you all know. Until then, thanks for joining. We'll see y'all next time.
Oh, yeah!